The first current trend that will be evaluated will be the Mexican education reform. There is a positive and negative evaluation about this trend. Starting from my point of view as a student in process of becoming a teacher, I consider it is positive because it encourages all the teaching learners to focus on an effective teaching process, focusing on the manage of their specific area and also in the teaching strategies. Because before, some teachers used to manage the topic perfectly but did not know how to teach properly. For this trend, I asked a middle school teacher who told me how everything has been from his point of view. He mentioned that something positive he considered this reform had was that them as teachers have to be in constant courses to be updated and in a permanent training of teaching skills. As well, he also mentioned that a negative perspective he has is that politicians have not given the correct importance in society in order for people to be informed about what methods have been implemented in children's education, and that people have the idea that the process is fast and notorious, when it takes years for children to catch up with what the new reform expects from them. The second trend is privatization. Being a little sarcastic, is there really something positive in privatizing something? Well, if your answer is yes, I would love to know what it is. Privatizing education is something that happens a lot in Mexico because even though schools are expected to give free education without even optional donations for anything, it does not happen this way. This causes mainly for young adults to not have the possibility to assist high school or college. It basically limits learners. On the other hand, it could probably be beneficial and positive for those who have the economic possibility to afford private education, guaranteeing quality. The third trend is bilingual education. In the case of bilingual education, many researchers have the conclusion with studies that learning in L2 helps students develop abilities for a superior comprehension in order to improve in other subjects and problem solving situations. Another benefit is definitely that many important and necessary texts for our careers are in English, mainly in medicine, engineering, and teaching fields. This also helps students have a better job opportunity, but even something so incredible has negative aspects. Many people try to learn in L2 to immigrate illegally, and this is in some cases induced by the influence the language has in the learner. We can also take the consideration the social pressure in students nowadays in their learning process, mainly with English classes. This may have as a consequence that the student may block totally the idea of learning and enjoying the language. The fourth trend is standardized testing. Standardized test is mainly used in a positive way to be aware of the student's profile. With this, I mean what are the weaknesses, strengths, and also needs of the student. Planea, on the other hand, is a standardized test that is not so positive because it does not have the support needed from the government to pass the levels that are expected in order to receive economical support. It is mostly failed because they are not effective. They are not effective because not all of our students have the same abilities in order to complete the same test. Finally, the use of technology to facilitate learning. Technology can be necessary in some classes, but a total distraction in others. Students might forget about being dynamic, but mainly about what physical interaction is, like teamwork, coloring, or doing physical games. Conversating with a high school teacher that has 36 years in service, he told me that technology is very frustrating for him because sometimes students manage more of the topics. But he told me that it did not bother him that students knew more about some topics. What really bothers him is that what started happening was that they felt he was not necessary anymore. At some point, I consider that technology will someday totally end with face to face teaching, according to the comment the teacher told me. On the other hand, I also asked a teacher with 5 years in service what he thought about technology at that stage of education, and he argued that he agreed 80% with it because it opened doors for his students and increased their curiosity for the subject and helped them create better conclusion activities. But if students have a doubt at home, they can look it up on the internet and that speeds up the class without having the need of more review. So it's about time management.